Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Chuck Krotz from Creates, and I am here today to talk to you about reverb. This is less of a kind of video about reverb technically and more about how kind of I use reverb within a mix and within different scenarios. First, I want to talk about kind of the main ways to use reverb. There is track-specific reverb, so actually putting a reverb on a track that you are using, and there is sending to a reverb. Sending to a reverb is based more on the way that they used to have to do it with consoles. It was the only way to do things because they just didn't have as many reverb units to use. Nowadays, with the invention of DSP and more computer power and plugins, we can now put reverb on any and all tracks we want. But that isn't actually the best way to do things. Sometimes it can be great, but most of the time I still think sending to reverb is a fantastic way to use reverbs to achieve the most amount of clarity within your mix and not muddy it up too much. Reverb is pretty dangerous in the way that it can get muddy really fast, so gotta be really careful when using it. That's why I'm here to talk about some different ways of using it. Now, first of all, when I say sending to a reverb, basically what you do is you have an auxiliary track and you put on a reverb unit and you put the wet-dry mix to 100% because it's just gonna be reverb. Then what you do is on track, say your guitar or your vocal, you send with the send to that reverb track. You do that on your guitar, then you do that on your vocal, then you do that on the other guitar, then you do that on whatever other parts you want. Then you have multiple sends on multiple different tracks, and they all send to one reverb. The benefit of this is you get to use one space, even up to 4 sometimes I'll use. You get to use that space for your whole mix, so you're kind of putting your mix in a room or in a place. And that's really great because that's how we're used to hearing things as humans in the real world. You're making it natural for the listener to hear. The other benefit is you get to control the sound of the reverb and what's going into it and out of it a little bit better because you're not affecting the actual dry signal of your guitar track or whatever you're sending to it. What I mean by that is that going into the reverb and coming out of the reverb, you can tailor the reverb, kind of cutting out bottom end or top end to kind of shape the reverb to put it exactly where you want in your mix. That is a little bit harder when you put a reverb on an actual individual track because if you EQ before or after the reverb, and using the mix knob, you're actually EQing the original signal. You could shape, for instance, the guitar sound with the reverb as one unique sound and put it in your mix in that way. That's one benefit of using a track-specific reverb in your mix. There are places for both, and I do use both myself, but you gotta be careful where and when you use it, and you gotta use it sparingly. One other point to make with using reverb is that reverb can get very messy very fast. With the tails that are on all the reverbs, they all add on to each other. So before you know it, you've got stacks of reverbs on top of each other. It can be something you don't even hear, but it's just clogging up headroom. The other trick is you can't tell when you solo something how it's being affected by all the other reverbs. Reverb is one of those things that you have to kind of mix while listening to the whole track. You can't isolate it because then it throws off the relative balance between everything else in the track. And you have to kind of know where you're trying to put that reverb and what you're trying to achieve with that reverb. There has to be a strategy behind using the reverb. Otherwise, you're just gonna get into a big mess of problems. So I wanted to just dive into Pro Tools real quick with you and show you a couple different examples how I used the reverb and also a trick or two with EQ and reverb together. I'm using a song by an artist named Lombo that I'm working with right now. It's a rap song, so let's dive into Pro Tools now. So here I am in Pro Tools, and I'm just gonna play you a little bit of the verse. Here's his verse vocal right here on track 73, and then I have the chorus vocals, which are tripled here on track 75, 76, 77. You'll notice when I play it for you, the verse is very wet. That is because if you listen to the track, it's a lot more sparse. Then we hit the chorus and more things are happening, so there's not really room for reverb on the vocal. So let me just play a little bit of the end of the verse and the beginning of the chorus, and you can see what I mean.
Crazy, we sipping shots, my vision getting hazy. How many drinks I bought? Fuck it, I'm feeling wavy. Let's hit another spot. Welcome to the city life. Fell in love with all the lights. Living up high, looking down at night.
So as you can see from that example, the verse is a little wetter. I'll play the soloed.
Crazy, we sipping shots, my vision getting hazy. How many drinks I bought?
There's a lot of reverb on there. And then we go to the chorus, and even just the lead vocal on the chorus is dry.
Welcome to the city life.
So if we add all 3 of the chorus vocals in, you'll hear it is dry, but with the triple on that chorus, it doesn't sound nearly as alone and small.
Welcome to the city life. Fell in love with.
So, looking at the verse vocal here and what I've done, I have 3 different effects on here right now. One of them is to a short delay, the other one is to a long reverb, and the other one is to a vocal short reverb. This is kind of my standard effects that I start with. The long reverb here, long haul, 1.2 seconds. Once again, you got to be careful because in the verse, this will work. There's a lot of stuff happening. In the chorus, I'm not going to hear that reverb very well at all because the chorus is so dense and so thick. Short reverb, 494 milliseconds, thickening it up just a little bit to make it sound like he's in a little room right in front of your face. Now, I like to use a balance of those 2 reverbs to kind of just help with creating an environment for the singer to be in. When you're in a booth, like he is, it's pretty dry. So we'll play it here.
Hop in the Sadies, baby. Crazy, we sipping shots. My vision getting hazy. How many?
Really dry short reverb.
Sadies, baby. Crazy, we sipping shots. My vision getting hazy.
Long reverb on its own.
Hop in the Sadies, baby. Crazy, we sipping shots. My vision getting
a little bit messy for my liking, and we'll look at that in a second. And then the delay.
My vision getting hazy. How many drinks I bought?
Just a little bit of a slapback just to kind of give him a little bit of depth to it, and that mixed with the short reverb.
Hop in the Sadies, baby. Crazy, we sipping shots. My vision getting hazy. How many drinks I bought?
Then we add the long reverb that kind of makes the verses match really well with the rest of the track. Very spacious and very, very big.
Hop in the Sadies, baby. Crazy, we sipping shots. My vision getting hazy. How many drinks I bought?
Then when you put all of that in the track,
hop in the Sadies, baby. Crazy, we sipping shots. My vision getting hazy.
It just puts him in the right spot, because if I mute all of these and play it in the track,
hop in the Sadies, baby. Crazy, we sipping shots. My vision getting.
It sounds like the vocal is just right here and he's not attached to the track at all. He's definitely sitting on top of the track. And what we want to do is use these reverbs to kind of put him in the track with everything else. Then we go to the chorus, and that's just nothing.
Welcome to the city life. Fell in love.
Since your brain has heard the reverb in the verses, it almost assumes it's going to be there in the choruses. So you don't even really need to do anything. You just need to let it go, and the brain will fill it in. Now, one thing I was saying was the long reverb is a little messy for my taste. So one thing that I like to do is if the reverb is a bit too overpowering, because in the track, you kind of hear there's that little sparkle of the long reverb. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean that up a bit. I've got my Fab Filter EQ, and that's on the input of the long reverb. You'll see the frequency spectrum of the reverb happening, and then I'm going to add the EQ to kind of clean up the bottom end and clean up that woolliness, because by taking that out, you're giving more room for the instruments, for everything else, and for the natural body of the actual vocal to pop through a little bit. So take that away and you're not going to notice it.
Pressure, it's what makes us better. Better believe that the city life will last forever. Isn't it pretty, baby? Let's rewrite the plot. Hop in the Sadies, baby. Crazy, we sipping shots. My vision getting hazy. How many drinks I bought?
What I've done is I filtered off 700 hertz and below, right out of the input of the reverb. That bottom end isn't even going to the reverb, which means that it's not going to be affected by it, which means I don't have to deal with that low end reverb clouding everything up in a place you're not even going to hear. I'm trying to just eliminate any other problems that I'm going to have, and the reverb is one of those messy things that I just want the trail in the top, not the low end. That's one of the most valuable things I learned, to clean up any other pieces of your mix that you don't really need. You don't need the bottom end of certain things that are literally just cloudy. All I've done here is I've filtered the reverb to the point just above where I can actually hear it. And the stuff below that I can't even tell is there, I definitely don't need it because it's just clogging up space. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you learned a couple things. That's kind of my base use of reverb. I could go on for hours and hours and hours about this. Come check out my channel, search Anik Creates. There's tons of other content, tons of other tutorials like this one, and Pro Tools tutorials, music business tutorials, anything else. And I hope to see you there. Thank you for joining me today, and see you in the next video.
Well,